Welcome to the Authority File, the academic library podcast from Choice. Choice is a publishing division of the ACRL and the publisher of Choice Reviews, Resources for College Libraries, and CC Advisor. I'm Bill Mickey, the host of the podcast and the editorial director at Choice. For this next series of episodes, we're taking a break from our normal format, and what you're about to hear is a special live presentation I moderated at the Charleston Conference in early November. The session is based on a white paper Choice published in September called Marketing Academic Library Resources and Services. Appearing with me on the panel are the white paper's co-authors, Sabine Dantas, outreach librarian at Lynn University, and Jennifer Park, assistant librarian for access and outreach services at Mount St. Mary College. Also with us is Lisa Martin, coordinator of outreach and business librarian at the M.D. Anderson Library at the University of Houston. During the panel, we discussed the current state of marketing and outreach, still considered a burgeoning practice among academic libraries, and what these initiatives look like in different kinds of institutions. We also dug into some of the top-line trends of a marketing and outreach survey Choice conducted earlier this year, the analysis of which forms the backbone of the white paper. The panel, one of the Charleston Conference's lively lunch sessions, was produced and made possible by Taylor and Francis, which also underwrote the white paper and generously provided us with the audio. If you haven't yet, you can download the white paper at choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship drop-down and select white papers. So we've broken down the audio into 4 episodes, and today in part 3, the panelists and I talk about one of the main top-line trends from the survey, why there appears to be a general lack of formality, best practice development, and appropriate staffing for marketing and outreach initiatives. All right, so another trend that emerged that interested us from the survey was one of the things we wanted to look at is how organized or how formal are academic library marketing and outreach initiatives. Are they flying by the seat of their pants? Are they kind of developing things as they go along? Or have they developed, like our panelists have, actual marketing plans and strategic goals? And what we learned that really at best, according to our respondents, marketing and outreach activities are characterized as somewhat organized. It was a bit of a surprise given, the importance of promoting services. It's a core function, proving value of the library to the institution and aligning goals and all of that. And so my question to the panel, and Lisa, we can start with you, is, in your opinion, I mean, this sort of, it's speculative because, why don't you think marketing and outreach efforts are more formalized?
So for me, this wasn't a total surprise, and I don't know if it is for any of us. I see it, if we're looking at the Value of Academic Libraries report from 2010 as a really big driver, and in the wider higher education landscape, to be clear, which is talking about value very, very seriously. As a driver, those are things which have happened in approximately the last decade in the United States. Decade plus or minus 5 years, I don't know. So what we're seeing is a response to that. And that's what I really see outreach efforts and marketing efforts as a response to prove our value. Mm-hmm. So as a result, it's not a total surprise. I will say that I'm seeing the language shift from marketing to outreach to engagement. And this is at larger institutions. I know Jen and Sabine have had a little different experience. But for us, we're really talking more about engagement. And again, that's going back to that value language. So we're seeing that. It's not a total surprise, but I tie it back to the wider landscape that libraries operate in. And the fact that we're fairly budget strapped. So pivoting has been a slow process.
Why aren't they more formal? Because the librarians don't really have the skills. I mean, they weren't, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to take away what Jen was going to probably say, but we didn't, when you're in the library school, they don't really teach you, okay, marketing. You might have a programming. I had a programming class, which was helpful because it taught me how to create a program, like how to submit it to your administrator and get it approved. But there was really no marketing, this is how you do marketing in the library. Maybe if you read a book, maybe there was a section of a book. I don't really think there was anything formalized, but I think it's not formal because I think most libraries are using their strategic plan as a marketing plan in a way, and that's just my opinion because I think, and it might not be right in every library, but I thought that's what my library was doing. They were using their strategic plan as this is our vision, this is what we're gonna do, but it's not really. It is what we're gonna do, but it's not really the strategy behind what you need to do, And so that's what I think, why I think it's not formalized at this point.
Yeah, so my response to this question, how come there aren't more formal marketing plans, or libraries that have marketing plans, it's time and money. That's a lot of it, right? And so I graduated from library school in 2010, and I never took a marketing class. It was not even a possibility for me to take a marketing and outreach class. And so we're seeing this wave occurring of librarians who are tasked with these, create this material, or hey, let's start some outreach. But there's no support when we initially come in. The only reason why we have a strong marketing, I don't want to call it a plan, it's not a plan, a strong marketing presence, let's call it that, on our campus is because my library director actually did come from a marketing background, so she did have that understanding. In addition to that, as the marketing and outreach librarian, if I should leave my position, we don't cross-train on this, and so it would then it would fall back on the director, who would then need to, again, train and work with a new person. So there's just a lot of time and money put into it. It's also fairly new in terms of what libraries do, right? So collection development's been around forever. Reference has been around, forever. But marketing and outreach has not been around forever. So it's still fairly new. It's in its infancy.
And I'll just add that I think larger institutions, it cannot fall on one person, absolutely not. But even a team, there's 4 of us. But what we're really trying to do is emphasize competencies and expectations for the subject liaisons. There's, and I've said this a few times, there's an article that came out recently called Realigning Liaisons with University Priorities. It was in College and Research Library News. And what that had to say, I don't necessarily fully 100% agree with, but there's some great points about outreach and the discomfort that liaisons have with outreach. But when you're talking about cross-training, when you're talking about larger institutions, 46,000 people cannot be met. Their needs cannot be met by 4 people. So you have to look at how the wider institution, the wider library institution, can support the outreach mission, and again, demonstrate that value.
And also, from my perspective, is because we have such a small staff, I can't cross-train them. I can't, say, hey, let me take, an hour or 2-3 hours out of my day to cross-train you. I can, but it's not going to be enough to learn and it to be helpful for the library, in my opinion. And also, I just feel like, having that, like you said, the buy-in from the entire rest of the team, it helps when you're doing any kind of marketing of a library. If everyone is on board, then the library is going to go up. Everything's going to work in sync together.
Yeah, we were kind of dancing around that staffing issue for a little bit there, and then Lisa and Sabine jumped right into it. But supporting that, results from the survey, their results did point to a general lack of formal training and best practices. 75% of respondents said they don't provide any formal training or best practice follow-up. 11% said yes, the rest were unsure. and staffing, again, is somewhat mixed. 55% of respondents said they don't have a dedicated marketing and outreach staff. 41% say they do. And those who don't, or said they don't, overwhelmingly share those duties across staff. But again, we get, into some of the issues like Sabine was mentioning where, your staff are already specialists in other areas and they're loaded up with all of those responsibilities, then having to pile on some of these marketing duties or outreach duties on top of those normal duties can be pretty difficult. Yeah. And so I'm wondering if maybe, Jen, how are you beginning to sort of formalize some of these practices and, create actual plans where going forward, these things are embedded into, your daily activities?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not.
The short answer.
I'll be honest, I don't have the time for it because my primary responsibilities are overseeing an entire department, as well as doing our outreach, in addition to all of those other duties as, librarians have them, instruction, sitting at the reference desk, and so on and so forth. This is something that is in my plan to do within the next year. Actually, it's funny, working on this white paper kind of really brought to light how much I really do need to work on this. We truly don't have people dedicated to this area. We're not a very large institution, so I am starting to incorporate a lot of our student workers in assisting with the creation and dissemination of materials. Of course, students happily graduate, and so they are not around for the long haul either. Yeah. So this is a very serious avenue that we do need to look at.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, maybe you can provide some perspective on this since you're doing this in sort of a formalized, directed sort of way.
So yes, we are. We have developed outcomes. I have developed competencies as we are onboarding or orienting new librarians. I'm actually in the middle of trying that out right now. And honestly, it's been quite a lot of work. I'm very grateful for the EDUCAUSE authors, not just because it's very handy, but also because I feel like I've been blazing a trail. And I know Jen and Sabine can say the similar thing. It's been a lot of, there is no reinventing the wheel when the wheel is being built. Yeah. So it's been a lot of work. I don't I did not come across good literature on outreach competencies. I probably could go write that, but haven't done so. So I think that formalizing process is necessary, and I think it leads you to a place where you're looking at gaps, you're looking at personnel, and you're saying, this is what we need to do next. I also think it can be daunting to people who don't have that background. But I think there's a lot of literature out there, there's a lot of support, and Jen and Sabine can talk to this more, but there's the Library Marketing and Outreach Facebook group, and there's a bunch of resources at the back of the report where people can reach out for more. And I'll let y'all talk about that.
Well, we have our Library Marketing and Outreach Interest Group Facebook group. It's really good. It's a really good place to get started. I'm one of the co-conveners, and Jen is one of the past co-conveners. And we meet at ALA, ACRL, and we kind of share our best practices of what we're doing. What are you doing this month? What are you doing for LGBT? What are you doing for Black History Month? Whatever it is, we try to share. Some people post things like, hey, does anyone know how to do a milk campaign? And that gets answered, and we try to respond as co-conveners as well. It's such a robust group. And also, we have the ACRL's toolkit, am I saying MS? Sorry. The toolkit. And so the toolkit is really good as well. It's at the back of the actual survey. And you can definitely go look at that. It'll give you some really good tips. Say anything else?
So our library marketing and outreach interest group is actually, it's a community of practice under ACRL. And so it is nationally recognized. We do hold meetings. There have been webinars in the past. And it's really a place in which librarians who are suddenly tasked with these marketing and outreach efforts, who do not have that skill set, who don't know where to go, this is a great starting place for them. But in addition to that, if you do already have that skill set and you're looking to implement new initiatives and ideas and so on and so forth into what is done at the institutions, it's another place to go. I want to point out that one of the interesting things that have occurred within the actual Facebook page is that we see a lot of public libraries actually providing insight and information, and it's been really nice to learn about that overlap and to work with one another in that regard.
Yeah, just real quick, I was going to point out the toolkit is part of the initiative the ACRL has been doing called the Libraries Transform Initiative, and so you can go to acrl.libguides, it's a LibGuide toolkit, acrl.libguides.com/transform, and there's a handy toolkit there to get started on marketing and outreach initiatives. You just heard from Sabine Dantis, Jennifer Park, and Lisa Martin. This concludes the third of our four-part series of a special live panel discussion at the 2018 Charleston Conference. This episode was brought to you by Taylor and Francis. Be sure to join us for the fourth and final episode, where we'll discuss the marketing and outreach of digital resources in particular, and the kinds of promotional priorities placed on them.
We marketed something, you might call it the Netflix of electronic resources for the academic library market. I won't name and shame. And we put it out on Twitter. And our faculty and students latched on to this Netflix for academic libraries, and they blew our monthly budget because there was such an interest. So you really have to look at the entire chain, your budget folks, your licensing folks, all the different components of resources before you go out and you promote something.
Find all of the episodes of The Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship dropdown. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with the Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and the production and editing are done by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.